That was our honor guard doing a wonderful job at the MTA workers vigil yesterday at MTA headquarters. Um, First, I would like to give a shout out to my brother Canelo Gomez. He did an excellent job putting this entire thing together. Um, Shout out to the whole team who participated in this. It was a beautiful event. Shout out to all the families who came by and received the plaque or whatever the case is. It was a real um, beautiful event. I don't think I ever was a part of something like this for coworkers. Um, we came together. We left politics out of it. This was strictly for the families. We didn't say anything about the MTA. We didn't say anything about the union. We just went there and handled our business. So shout out to the team for making this happen. Now we're going to touch on a few things before we get into the meat and bones of this show because it's very serious, and it's serious because it affects everyone. It affects the current worker. It affects retirees. It affects everyone. So we must pay attention and speak about these things and keep each other abreast as to what's going on out here regarding what the MTA is attempting to do. But first, let's get into a video of Pat Foy because we need to show you guys the mentality of where these bosses are when it comes to certain things. So let's get to this video. We're going to discuss it, and then we're going to get into the real topics.
CEO Pat Foy spoke today in Brooklyn. He announced that the MTA is offering a $10,000 reward in this case now in exchange for information that will lead to the arrest of whoever's responsible for this.
I want to call upon our criminal justice partners in the city's district attorney officers to prosecute this person and others who are damaging subway or bus property to the fullest extent of the law.
Foy also said the
Now, let me ask you a question. Did you ever see Pat Foy come in front of a camera when workers were getting assaulted, beat up at their jobs, stabbed up, almost lost our lives, spit on, even during this whole coronavirus? Did you ever see them come outside and speak to reporters regarding the actual humans who make this equipment run and work. Did you ever see that? But when it comes to the equipment, Pat Foy and others are willing to get in front of a camera and denounce what's happening to the equipment, but not to the humans who move this equipment. Now, it is kind of strange that someone is breaking all these train glasses and nothing is nobody see anything, nobody, like, what's going on here? And for someone to feel so comfortable to do that is a true indictment on the protection of MTA workers in the system. If someone can brazenly break train windows undetected, and we're not talking about one window, we're talking about multiple windows on the train, and get away with it because it's going to make noise. It's obvious it's going to make noise. This is why we're not protected in the subways as employees, because there's absolutely no deterrence. But it's mind-boggling how Pat Foy could go in front of the camera and talk about the equipment and not talk about the humans who move the equipment. And speaking of that, as you know, we touched on it on prior shows. You could go back to probably like the last two shows. I touched on the shower curtain on buses, these extra partitions on buses. Well, the MTA got the 32 trains. The 32 trains is the oldest trains in the system. I think they like 50 years old. And most conductors can't fit in the booth part of these trains because it's just too packed. And actually, by rule, we're supposed to stand outside the operating cab. Why isn't there a partition or possibly cutting off those train doors to passengers? Because passengers violate these I don't even know what to call it, these plastic chains. You know, it's just an illusion, and it doesn't stop the virus. So there's absolutely no protection on the trains for conductors while they are operating these 32 trains. I just wanted to bring that up to you guys. Real quick, the last official show that I did, I touched on IODs and is COVID-19 covered by workers' comp? It is. We discussed that. But a lot of people ask, why we only allowed to use 20 days when we first go out, and then, you know, some of us go months without, you know, getting paid. Well, I found the answer to that, and I just put it on the screen. I don't know if you guys can read it because it's really small, but the MTA and any other company for that matter, they have no more than 18 days to figure out your case. And they have no more than 18 days. So it makes sense as to why we have the 20 days, because really when you out on comp, you're not supposed to you're not supposed to miss pay. That's how it's supposed to work. You're not supposed to miss pay if you're out on comp. That's why the 20 days is there that the MTA give you, because after you use up your 20 days, your next paycheck's supposed to be comp. But that doesn't happen here in the MTA. The MTA is one of those agencies that make up their own rules. They self-insured. They make up their own rules. They unilaterally deny people they comp. They make them wait months. They play all these games with IMEs, not controverting your claim. They play a whole bunch of games and they get away with it. And we're bringing some attention to that real soon, of why and how they have the ability to do that. But as you see on this paper, if you want to a copy of this, just feel free to DM me and I can send it to you. But within 18 days, we are supposed to be paid. The benefit's supposed to begin. And that's even if they dispute the claim. They controvert our claims 3-4 months later. They fight us for another 4 months. By the time you look back, we haven't got paid for 12 months, 11 months. You got people dipping into their 401ks, people taking out loans, some people losing their homes. A whole bunch of stuff is happening because the MTA is doing the wrong thing. And it seems as if nobody is doing anything to fight what's going on here. And this is with everything. We not only comp, when it comes to discipline, there's a lackluster fight back from our half of the fight. The MTA always comes strong. We can't say the same for the union. When it comes to the things that we're facing now, the reason why I'm doing this show and why is this so important when I talk about the MTA laying us off, when I talk about the MTA playing with the retiree health benefits, playing with our pension, talking about us not getting a raise for these next couple of years, toll and fare increases. That has an impact not only on the workers of the MTA, but everyone who uses this system. Some people can't afford the fare now. Now they're talking about adding more in 2021 and 2023, and more than what they normally do. I think what they normally do is like 4%. They looking for more than that. But let's get into the first video, and I'm gonna give you guys, let you guys know what he's talking about. But it's very important. I don't know how much I have to express this. Please pay attention to the MTA board meetings. There was an MTA board meeting where they tried to say that the reason why New York City transit workers get hurt so much is because we are out of shape. We're fat. And I think her name was, I forget. I think it was Polly Trottenberg. I'm not sure. I don't want to put that on her. But one of the MTA board people said that New York City transit workers are injured more because we are basically obese. She said that. I couldn't believe she said that out her mouth at the MTA board meeting. But it's very important that we pay attention to what's going on at these board meetings. So let's get into the first video. And the guy that's talking, his name is Bob Ferron. He is the chief financial officer of the MTA. He basically make the decisions on what's getting cut, how it's getting cut, and things of that nature. So let's get into the first video, and then we're going to discuss it.
Earned on that account had it been fully invested. You can see there the cost. So again, those are merely cash flow management items. With regard to the wage freeze, and this is a wage freeze on represented and non-represented employees, we could do it on a permanent basis if that were the case. You can see the savings that build up from $58 million this year to $309 in 22 to $322 in 2024. If it were merely a postponement, so a wage freeze through 2022 and then a retroactive payment due the next year, you can see the results. So again, a cash flow benefit up front, but the retro would have to be paid in 2023, which would increase our deficits.
There you go. You got the chief financial officer, Bob Ferron, talking about represented, which is the union. We are representing employees, and non-represented employees are facing a wage freeze. Now, let's put things in perspective. The wages that we got is not enough for us to survive in New York City. Now they're talking about stopping our wages, our bargain raises that we bargained for last contract that the membership voted on. They talking about stopping us from getting our scheduled raises as per collective bargaining. How is this not a violation of the Taylor law? How come the violation of the Taylor law only goes one way, and that's when the employees want to take a stand against a contract, but when the management want to take a stand against the contract, there's no law to keep them in place. They are basically telling TWU Local 100 that they are going to open up our books, open up our contract, and freeze our raises. What's the sense of bargaining anything if they could just open up the contract whenever they want and not give us our raises. This is one way they are trying to play with us. One way they trying to play with us. Let's get into the next video.
The OPEB Trust Fund. OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. That's primarily health care for our retirees. We pay the health care retirees' current cost each year, but this is money that was set aside to be invested at a higher return to provide for future health care costs. Well, we don't need to look at the future there. We need to bring this money forward. And so we now have that money available, which we can use for current employee healthcare, retiree health care costs. Again, if federal funds are available, we may not have to do this, but we need to be prepared to implement these two measures. The grand total is almost $1.2 billion for the next 2 years, 20 and 21. The OPEB Trust Fund. OPEB stands for
To my retirees out there, they talking about bringing the money forward to use for the retirees now and pay for the retiree benefits now. So if they use the money that they had for the other people who's retiring down the line, and they start using that money and start paying for the retiree benefits now, then what happens when people retire down the line? And notice, he said if the money is replaced, then they will put it back. I don't believe in ifs when it comes to business. This is big business. There's no rooms for if. There's absolutely no room for ifs. So now they trying to tell us that when it's time for us to retire, there may not be no health benefits for you to have once you retire. This is a game that the MTA is playing, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. There's more things to talk about. Let's get into the next video.
What else? Well, service reductions. We looked at a number of scenarios in terms of reducing service. And for this purpose, what we've identified on the subway, buses, and Staten Island Railroad is a potential service reduction which, without $12 billion in federal aid, could be forced to reduce service by up to 40%. Now, this could be implemented in myriad ways. The example that we have here suggests that this would generate almost $880 million annually net of the lost revenues. What are the implications? Well, subway headways could increase up to 8 minutes. Off-peak headways on Staten Island Railroad could increase by 30 minutes. Bus headways could increase by up to 15 minutes. Estimated workforce impact would be a permanent reduction of over 7,200 positions. In addition, the following actions may be needed to address the shortfall. There could be changes to the accessoride program, such as increasing trips to feeder service and eliminating on-demand service, which could save us $65 million a year. On the commuter railroads, what else? Well, service reductions. We looked at a number of...
Listen to what he said. He said service reductions. They talking about making service reductions in the middle of a pandemic, because we're not going to be out this pandemic for at least another year. So they talking about next year service reductions. Why are service reductions bad? They talking about making a headway 8 minutes. Everyone knows that, especially, and I know in the operational positions, if you're a bus operator, if you work on a train, if you are 4 minutes behind schedule, it's possible that you're going to pick up a heavier load of passengers at some of these stops. So you talking about service reductions and increasing headways. They talking about 8 minutes for subways, 15 minutes for buses. That's going to create packed conditions. We talking about packed conditions in the middle of a pandemic. He also mentioned 7,200 positions gone. 7,200. It may not seem like a lot, but that's a whole bunch. 7,200 positions worth of layoffs. Some of us may not have no jobs. And let's not get it twisted. The MTA had this problem before COVID hit. And I don't take them as a joke. I believe everything that they say at this point. Because if they didn't have the money before, or if they claim they didn't, they probably definitely do not have the money now. And I think that moving forward, they will forever cry broke. Moving forward, if we don't have the proper union in place, a union leadership that fights, we're not going to get a dime moving forward. If we talking about pennies on a dollar for the past 10 years when it came to raises, where the economy was good, where the MTA was flourishing, ridership was up, we got pennies on a dollar. Now this pandemic is here. What is going to happen? And these subway headways changing, these bus headways changing, that affects everyone. Like I said before, we are in the middle of a pandemic. And for my operators out there, if the headways are increased, then guess what happened? They not going to need train operators, conductors, and bus operators around. Some of these schedules is going to be looking like Sunday schedules. There's not a lot of people working on Sundays or Saturday for that matter. And our schedules is going to resemble those type of days, Sunday and Saturday. So that means that people are going to get laid off. We know that the transit authority is not going to pay you to sit down. They're just not going to do it. Let's get into the next video.
Options for deficit reductions. Well, we said potential fare and toll increases. What we've identified here is units of measure to help consider the relative value in reaching a solution in the absence of federal funding. By fare and toll increases, for every 1% we raise the fare above the 4% that we were planning to put in place in 21, we could generate $50 to $60 million a year. For the toll increase that we had planned on putting in place in 2021, every dollar above the 4% increase that we were going to put in place would generate a significantly greater amount of money. 270 in 21, 343, almost 350 in the out years. The 2023 proposed fare increase, each 1% above the 4% would generate about $50 or $60 million beginning in 2023. And each dollar increase in toll above the 4% that we had planned would be 270 in 23 and 343 in 2024. Again,
let's pay attention to what they're doing. And this is for the people who ride the subway, because I try to tell you guys all the time, when it comes to issues in the MTA, transit workers aren't the only ones who are affected. We are actually one of the same. The public and the transit workers should be allies, because you want to know what? The MTA don't care about you or I. Let's make that clear. Now, they talking about toll increases and fare increases. They saying 1% above the 4% that's already proposed. So that sounds something like 5%. I don't know. But once again, we can't afford to live in the city in which we work. There's a lot of New Yorkers out here that's struggling to pay the fare. Now you talking about they want people to pay more in tolls. They want people to pay more in subway and bus fares. They want us to do that while at the same time, simultaneously, people are losing their jobs. The coronavirus has destroyed this entire economy. So where are people supposed to get this money to pay this increased toll and fare? Where are we supposed to get it? Where are we supposed to get it? Where are we supposed to get it? It don't make no sense. They want to raise things up, but millions of people done lost their jobs. They talking about a second wave of this virus coming. What is really going on? New York City, we are in some serious trouble. And let's not get it confused or twisted. All of this is not because of Trump. Cuomo got something to do with this also. Yes, the federal government, they need to step up and do what they got to do. Cuomo said that we give the federal government billions of dollars a year out of New York State. Well, Cuomo, if you're a real gangster, don't give Trump the federal money. If it's billions of dollars, let's use it to rebuild our state. Don't give it to Trump if you're a gangster, or you're only gangster towards the people that's up under you. I mean, these things, this is like, if you're watching this show, there's no way possible that you don't have these conversations with your family, with your coworkers. Everything that I played in this video, it touched on different aspects of how it can affect us. We talking about retiree benefits. They talking about deferring our pension, deferring the payment, the payments they make towards our pension, but they saying that they have to pay it back. What if they defer the payments, keep it, and they don't never get the money? How are they going to pay our pensions? This is a way for them to raid our pensions. They could raid our pensions because of what's going on. Now, mind you, there's a whole bunch of people that work at 2 Broadway making crazy amount of money a year. He said absolutely nothing about cutting off those jobs. They said absolutely nothing about touching these contractors that they got, these consultants that they got. They said absolutely nothing about that. Our own union president was late to the party while Utano was talking about giving adding police to the subways to fine people for masks or whatever the case is. The MTA had another plan. They talking about stopping us from making an honest living. There's no way possible you could live in New York City without getting a raise almost every year of at least $1. There's no way that we could live like that. It's no way. The MTA wanted us to take zeros. They wanted the workers to take zeros. But at the same time, they talking about raising the tolls and raising the fares 5% a year. 5% a year. They won't even offer us that for our contracts. But they want the people in New York City to pay something that they don't even offer their own workers. They want us to give up so much stuff, and we made the system work during one of the most toughest times New York City has ever seen. We kept the system moving. This ain't the first time. This happened during 9/11 too, but we never seen anything like this. The MTA do not care about any one of us, and that goes for all of them that's in 2 Broadway, because I don't see none of the good ones advocating or saying anything for transit workers. The only thing they want to do with us is take. They don't care about us. You got a whole bunch of people that only care about their best interest over there. They represent the top 1%. We not in that bracket. What are we going to do? This is serious. The attacks is real. We don't even have strong union leadership in place. And we go play one more video because people don't understand things about me. I'm objective, not no hater. If you do something good, I'm going to salute you. So we go play this video, and we're going to discuss this one too. Also from the MTA board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else?
Yeah, Pat, it's John Samuelson.
Commissioner.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's pretty clear, I think, to everybody that reducing capacity to this degree is going to it's going to run the risk of actually destroying New York City and certainly destroying the MTA system. The whole argument playing itself out on social media, which Bob Lynn touched on, about whether New York City is dead, this is going to ensure that New York City is dead, and Jerry Seinfeld himself is not going to be able to refute it. It's an absolute betrayal of riders, frontline workers, everybody involved with the MTA system. Now, I would say that the MTA should not even contemplate, as has been mentioned a couple of times here, thinking that organized labor, particularly the TW, is going to participate in any kind of concessionary element here in order to fund the deficits that you're talking about. We've paid with blood. The TW alone has just under 100 fatalities. To come and ask us to step up by opening up our contracts or by bargaining in some concessionary fashion is just utterly unthinkable. And the notion that you would come, which some members of the board they may think is appropriate, that you would come to ask the workers that just put their necks on the line by being on the front line of this fight against COVID-19 is ridiculous. That we would fund an epic failure that's really come to light during COVID-19, obviously. But this is kind of also years in the making, and we've had nothing to do with this, and we're not going to participate in a bailout off of our backs and off the livelihoods of our families. I understand that the federal government needs to step up, but it's not our problem, and we're not going to step up, and we're not going to open up our contracts. I just want to make that clear. And by the way, I want to just say for the record that before you lay a glove on any member of the TW, any member of the Transport Workers Union, or any frontline worker for that matter, you got a lot of high-priced consultants floating around there. You got a lot of profiteering contractors walking around, and get rid of them. And I want to say, you brought in these two Canadian guys. I still have no idea what they do. It's an appropriate question, and it goes along with the other high-paid bosses that you're hiring. All of this stuff needs to be looked at, just as a matter of principle, before you lay a glove on any kind of frontline worker. And I think we're in the same boat as Rockland County. We have the same position as them. We're just not accepting this. Thanks.
For those who don't know, that was the international president, John Samuelson. John Samuelson was the local president for, I think, like 9 years or whatever the case is. He is the one who's responsible for appointing Tony Utano. Now, Samuelson, he said the things that he was supposed to say, but we heard this before. Samuelson said this, I believe, earlier this year for the airline workers. And the boss of the airline workers made Samuelson eat his words. So Samuelson talks a good one. He'll get you hype. And it sound good. I liked it. Because he did ask a very important question. Pat Foy hired 2 Canadians. And nobody know what they do. Can't explain what they do. I don't even know what they do. But the fact of the matter is that we not in a position to give empty threats. he's right. Samuelson is right. We did pay with blood during these past couple of months, dealing with the coronavirus and things of that nature. And the MTA go come out with this, like Samuelson said, concessionary bargaining tactics, and we not even at the bargaining table. We did pay with blood. Since Samuelson want to be the spokesperson for TWU, you know that we paid with blood, and we paid with blood because the union failed to hold the MTA accountable and responsible for handing us out PPE. If this union wasn't willing to stand up for us in the middle of a pandemic where we lost over, and I don't know why they keep watering down the number. It's 100 workers now. No, we lost 131 workers. And that number is low too. It's more like 147, I believe, somewhere around there. But let's use the number that everyone is using, 131. If they weren't willing to stop service in the name of safety, in the name of saving lives, in the name of limiting the bloodshed that this virus and the MTA and the union caused on us, what makes you think that they will be willing to do anything regarding this? Wait, listen, let's be honest. You could come back from a recession. You can't come back from being dead. It doesn't work like that. So if we were dying, and we were dying, and they weren't willing to do something at that point, do you think that I would have faith that they would do something now? This is all smoke screen and mirrors. This is all scare tactics by the MTA. But I think that they serious this time. This is fake fighting by the union. We tired of words. Out of all the stuff that we've been through, only thing we've been giving these people is lip service. Lip service. It's time for some action. They playing with us on all types of levels. I'm talking about discipline. I'm talking about comp. I'm talking about with our safety. I'm talking about playing with our livelihoods and our wages, our quality of life, everything. They are playing with it. When those fare increases go up, when those toll increases go up, that still affect our household. Want to know why? Because we don't get train passes like they get in Long Island Railroad and Metro North. They get spouse passes, and you don't even have to be married to get a significant other pass or a child pass. They get passes free. The families get free passes to ride those trains, and we get nothing. So to all the workers who work in New York City Transit, when those toll and fare increases go up, guess who's going to be affected? That's us too. That's us too. We are in trouble as a nation right now altogether. It's all types of crazy stuff going on. You got black men getting killed like we're going out of style, getting shot in the back, getting choked out. Everything is happening. You got the middle class, which and the working poor, that includes everybody. Everybody's getting affected. And what I'm starting to realize, that you want to know what? There's two races in this world that I'm starting to realize. Yeah, we have black, white, and all that other stuff, but there's really two races in this world. And those races are rich and poor. Those are the two races. Because the rich don't care about the poor. The poor, just because you making $80,000, $90,000 a year and you came from a job that you was making 40, don't mean that you're rich. You're working poor, especially if you have a family. You're working poor. $80,000, $90,000 is not enough to live in a city like it was in the early 2000s. It's not the same money. Those two races, rich and poor, Forget about black, white, Hispanic, whatever, Asian, whatever it may be. It's two races, rich and poor. They don't care about us. Yes, we work at the MTA. We got health benefits. We may get a pension now. They playing with our pension. We may get health benefits when we retire. We may. No, may not get anything. What are we to do? We got to focus on what's going on. We got this, these conventions, the Republican convention, the Democrat convention. We gotta focus on picking the lesser of two evils. But you want to know what's up with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party? They all support big business. And we are not big business. Tremel Thompson is not a big business. If you work for the MTA, you're not a big business. You're a worker ant that transport the people to where they need to go to support the big businesses. But we're not big business. We got to change our mind frame of how we're thinking. Forget about the black and white. Now, just because I'm saying that doesn't mean that I'm going to overlook a coworker who's talking about black people in a derogatory, hostile, or racist way. I'm not going to do that. That's not going to be tolerated. We need to come on board with one another here and realize that rich race don't care about the poor race. We must start paying attention to what's going on. We must start. There's too much wars on us. We getting licked from every end. Every end we getting punched. No matter where we turn, we getting punched. It's very stressful to do anything right now. They ruling us by fear. It's too much going on. But if you want to donate to the Progressive Action TV show to keep the lights on over here, you could donate via Cash App, Progressive Action 100. You could donate via PayPal. You could also donate via Patreon in the link of the bio. We got to get focused. I need you guys, look, we got to start educating our loved ones, educating our co-workers. There's co-workers that they don't have a clue as to what's going on in the world. They don't know what the MTA is planning to do to us. And this is not something to play with where we fall asleep at the wheel and don't pay attention until the action happens. Because when the action happens and you're mad, it's too late. We have to push back. We have to come together and push back. The thing is that when is the union leadership is going to do something besides lip service? We need action, and we need it now. We need to make allies with the riding public to show that we are one in this war that's against us. We got to do something. This is as real as it gets. If you think that it's a joke, you keep thinking that it's a joke until you are without a job or you're about to retire and you're like, oh, I'm out of here in 2 years anyway. You may be the one without health benefits. I got 18, 19 years to go. It probably could be fixed by the time I retire. You don't want to leave this job without no health benefits and just think that, oh, I'm leaving, that I don't got nothing to do with this anymore. We got to come together. We got to find common ground, put the differences to the side, and come together. All the powerhouses of this union. This will not work being separated. But if anyone decides to not come together and work in favor of Cuomo, work in favor of Pat Foy, work in favor of the top 1% that's pushing these real agendas, you're an enemy of this war. You're not a part of us. But for the people who care about what's going on, who want to fight back, who want to get involved, y'all know where to find us. We have Progressive Action. Let's make this happen. Let's come together and let's show them that we can be strong, because there's a real war going on against us. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.